Okay, so I'm gonna walk you through the setup I put together for mounting the Hast rack in the chamber, and then I'll send you some dimensions to verify. A lot of what I need verification on. Um, Why is that not working right now? Let's see here. Get that. Okay, so a lot of what I need verification on is just exactly what we're looking at here. I think I've got it pretty good based upon what you sent me earlier, but as you can see, these are even off right now for some reason, so I'll have to mess with that. But nonetheless, here's what our setup looks like. Let me take a section view out of the top here, a little more clear shot. So I'm cutting the top of the chamber in half. We got our bottom plate here with slotted holes. And so what we would do is this plate would go in to whatever depth we want it to eventually sit at. And then we would mark down here where we're going to drill and tap into the existing chamber braces. And so that sits down on these chamber braces that are in there. Just removing mass. There's some other areas. I'll remove some additional mass as well at some point, but just locking in the main setup right now. The second piece that goes on is this tray. Now this tray is going to secure through these slotted holes here. So let's give a little transparency. So you can see I've got a countersunk hole here, and then the slotted hole beneath it on the original piece. So if I hide this, these slotted holes give us a horizontal adjustment. So the next piece, the main piece here slides us forward and back. These slotted holes here allow us to move the next portion side to side. So some adjustment there as well. And so if I show this piece again, that piece goes on top here to secure down. And then the last piece that we have is these Teflon rails. These Teflon rails secure here. So these through holes in that second piece, the Teflon rails are there. And so we got some Teflon guide rails. I tried to make these out of, I believe it is a 1" by 1" piece of Teflon stock. Yep, 1" there. Trying to reduce any sort of machining cost, material cost. And so we got our Teflon slide rails there. You'll be able to see from this top view that our slots here, so our bottom plate, how it mounts, you have the ability to get to those screws through this second plate here. And so if you get everything put together and you decide, all right, I need to scoot this forward or back, you'll be able to adjust that as well. And so that sits in there. Notice these two holes back here. This is the first point of alignment and locking in for our rack. So I'm going to show our rack here now as well. And let me get rid of our section view. So then our rack slides in here. Let me see if this rack will just open up on its own and I can show you on the back side what I was talking about. So yeah, here on the back side of our rack, we've got a little plate with some PIM studs coming off of it. Those PIM studs go into the holes that I was pointing out back here. So I'm going to hide this rack again. Those PIM studs go into there. Now we can use those to hold it if we can reach back there and tighten them down, or we can just use it simply as an alignment thing to keep the rack from lifting up on the back side. But what that's going to do is that's going to secure there. And then the last thing I was thinking about adding to this was actually a plate that goes and secures here and here. And so essentially you slide this entire rack in and then you attach this plate that could really cover up, we could, form it to cover this entire area and then secure through some threaded, through some tapped holes there and some tapped holes here. And then that'll give us a lock on the front of the rack as well. And so that's really what I was considering there. So the next thing I'll send out is just some verification for some dimensions on these to make sure that this plate is formed properly. What we were talking about earlier on the phone, I can adjust the height of this plate, and in fact might be able to adjust the height of this plate right here a little bit depending on this, and doing that so that we can essentially drop the entire height of the rack down. So that, for instance, right now, our let's see, grab right there. Our minimum, our straight dimension from there to there is 2.93 inches. But let's say I'm able to drop this down a full width of one of these connectors. Then all of a sudden, our minimum dimension is 3.38 inches. So it just could gain us a little bit of space, especially since these guys are already set back. Of course, they're going to come out another 1/4 inch. We put in a Teflon ring there, but I think that'll I think that'll actually work pretty well. So I'll send information on just grabbing a little bit more of this just in detail, and then also the ability to locate the different probes and whatnot that are in the chamber as well.